Hey everybody, it's the Real Doctor Who podcast number 2, in fact. I am sitting here editing what appears to have taken like 8 million years to edit, and I have a few points that I want to cover today in this odd but weirdly satisfying format of a video. It's very different from a lot of the things I do because I'm not in motion. So that's a bit weird in a way, but still it's okay. I want to go outside for this. Let's go outside, like George Michael once said. Georges Michel. C'est Georges Michel qui a dit ça. Yeah. Let's get comfortable. First thing I wanted to talk about was, to rant about, I could say, would be the laws of attraction. There's a lot to say about that, and it is something that is omnipresent. For those who've seen my very first video, I wish I had done that video now, in fact, because I was really learning. I might have said, there's a lot of things I might have said in my first podcast, but it was night time and I couldn't speak out loud. So I was speaking gently because I knew I was going to wake up my neighbor, and she's like nice and everything, and I didn't want to bother her. But as I might have said in my first podcast, yeah, for those who haven't seen my very first video, I encourage you to give it a look, because a lot of the points that I cover in that video have just proven to be true over and over. Like it's now 2 months old, and as I was saying, I wish I had done it now because I was learning the software while I was doing it. And now I'm very used to that software. I'm getting better at it at each time I edit something. You just learn some new tricks and everything. So that's for that. And I was talking about the laws of attraction a lot in it, and how they are in effect all the time. It can't be a law that just sometimes takes place. It has to be something that's operating all the time, that always has been and always will be. It cannot be something that just happens from now and then. And how it works is still a mystery. But is it really? Is it really such a mystery? I mean, as science progresses, we know more and more stuff. And there's a lot we know about genetics. And I would strongly encourage everybody to check out what Nassim Haramein does. He's this scientist who, he knows a lot of stuff. I've been following in and out what he does for, let's say, 10 years, give or take, something like that. Yeah, 10 years. And it's really just interesting the way he presents things and everything. And you see the progression he was doing. Like, the first video I saw of him was just it was a VHS filmed in like a little room. It was just like a simple thing, but it was I think it was 8 hours long. And that is at the time when I saw that is at the time when YouTube only let you upload 10-minute long videos. So that was a lot of videos, a lot to sit through, a lot I understood, a lot I didn't understand. And I think a lot that I persuaded myself that I did understand. So I was like, I'm so smart. But I revisited it, and a lot of it makes sense. Well, all of it makes sense, but you grow, you learn, you pick up new stuff, and it just really did start making sense. And how things work. I mean, his last works, I need to re-see that video and, re-listen to it, study it, get down to nitty gritty, and really see exactly what he's talking about. But it already just, he could spread a few breadcrumbs that will keep you awake at night. Not because it's scary, just because you're thinking, oh. And the last thing he said was about, like, I'll get my terms wrong and everything because I get mixed up in things, and I just try to understand the structure, how things work. But I don't have any scientific real background. That's the thing. But what is scientific background when you really think about it? It's just like you're thinking. I may not crunch numbers, but it's just constant thought about it, constant thought about how mechanisms and how things work. And it can be social mechanisms, it can be the weather, it can be science, it can be biology, history, the way things goes, or just simple human interaction mechanics. Always thinking. That brain box never turns off. Just always thinking. And the last thing he said was about molecules. Let's just call it molecules, for lack of a better term, because he could have said something else, but it's basically when you picture a molecule, and sorry for the afantastics, because the fantastic people, as I say, because podcast can be tricky because it demands visualization, and that is something that they don't access, but of course compensate with something else. I don't know exactly what. I know it's words. I would guess throughout the discussions I've had that fantastics will hear the words, repeat the words, and have a list of words that identify and describe that word. So if you can just try to put yourself in their shoes and, for lack of a better term, imagine how it must be to have a list of words. Imagine, take all the pictures you've got in your brain and replace those by the sound of words. That in itself is a remarkable task just to ask to somebody who has pictures in their minds. As odd as it is, it could be just as tricky as to go up to a fantastic person, show them the picture of an orange, and so they would be like, yeah, that's an orange, because they know stuff. When they see something, they completely know what it is. No problem about that. And so you show them a picture of an orange, and you say, yeah, I can see that in my mind. And of course, you would see an orange, and everybody would see it different. Some would see it in their hands, some would see it on a table, some would see it in a basket with several other oranges. And someone might see an orange and it would remind you of memories of something else, and your mind would drift. But I digress. I was just talking about the molecules and apologizing in advance for the fantastic people who just, for it's just uh, complicated, that visualization part. So sorry in advance. And when you see a molecule in your mind, sorry, we think about those tiny marbles, like there's one big marble in the middle, and there's other marbles just spinning around it. Depending, and as far as we know, it's like depending on the number of those little marbles spinning around the big marble, well, it's a different molecule, as far as my understanding goes. But apparently, it's not little marbles. It is completely like something else. But if you zoom in, it's not going to be little marbles. But that's the best, like, humans could come up with in old science, I might say now, because things are progressing. Science is progressing, our views and understandings are too. So it can't stay the same. That is going to progress. So that's pretty cool. Whoops. Sorry, I just fell back of the edge of this uncomfortable thing I'm sitting on. Why am I still here? I need to go back inside. No, that's way better. Now I am sitting on a cushion. So yeah, laws of attraction. I have another note there. It just says separate. Can the laws? How can the laws of attraction work? Ooh, it's magic. No, it's not magic. It's not magic. It's magic if you imagine that there is a separation between things. There is no separation between anything. That's a point of view. We need to incorporate that point of view. There can't be any separation between anything. And the laws of attraction wouldn't work if there were. Wouldn't make any sense. Nothing is separate. Genes, as far as I know, as I heard, the genetics. Sorry. Sorry, I have a bit of a cold. Whoops, I haven't cut that out in post-production because I'm doing this in one go. This is me chilling, just enjoying the sound of my voice, apparently. And as I completely lost my thread of thought, I guess I'll just let you reconstitute the rest of what I was going to say. How fair is that? Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Tangonauts and what we do. It's Vicky Duncalf. Vicky Duncalf in Wales and All and me here in Bordeaux, south of France. We set intentions far, far physically apart, and we have several videos plus this upcoming video that I am just right now editing as we speak. What we're doing now in October is really, we are not fighting evil. As Halloween is coming, and it is supposed to be a thinner veil between dimensions, if that is such a thing, for lack of a better term, dimensions, realms, demonic realm and angelic realm, all of those things, the light, the darkness, call it whatever you want, because in our reality, in our realm, well, the words to describe it don't yet exist. There is an alphabet and the communication being worked on right now. It's a slow process, but if you want, you can picture it a bit as I can't remember the name of that movie, but it has Lois Lane and Hawkeye, or should I say, Hawkeye and Lois Lane. And you see on the poster, there's, well, it's not Jeremy Irons, but it's Jeremy. I think it's Jeremy Reynolds, and the name of that actress I just can't remember. But just picture it. There's Hawkeye, Lois Lane on that poster. There's a clue there. That's a funny thing you can see when you're looking at that poster. I won't say more. I'll let you look if you desire so. So yeah, what we're doing in the Tangonaut, in the Tangoverse, is not fighting evil, because what you resist persists. So we're just counterbalancing, really, just setting it up with with good intentions, and just offering a truce. Maybe we can all do this together. Like, yeah, let's try that. Everybody who is listening to this is welcome to picture this. October 31st. It's not the day of demons anymore. It's the day of truce. It's a truce. A day where demons and angels can give it a break. It's a no fighting day. Today, it's okay. We're just, hey, let's sit down. Let's sit down. I'll cook something. I can cook. I do enjoy cooking very much, and I'm gonna cook something and set up a little table, and they can just come and and just put their weapons down for a bit. You don't have to fight all the time. Maybe October 31st can become, with your help, and that is what we are actively doing every day since the beginning of October. Tangonauts have been doing this, offering a day of truce. It is a day, no more fighting day. We are not fighting evil. We're just offering a peace day. And we can transform Halloween, the day of Halloween, to a very, very positive experience. So there, I just wanted to cover that. There's another thing I wanted to touch about real quick. In the 30-point day, two things. I'll just write the last one down real quick. There you go, so I can cover it. In the 30-point day video, in the first video, at some point I say something along the lines of poetry and science. Randonautica can do that in one generation. And what I really meant by that, for those who might have not seen the video or just seen it and think, oh, that's nice, and just not think more about it. The thing about that was science and poetry seem to be two very separate things. But how cool would that be if poets enjoyed a little bit of science, and if scientists had that poetic thing, in them, that feel, that touch, that sensitivity that artists do? How cool would that be? And you realize with Randonautica, this miracle app, this free miracle app, free, that still boggles my mind, but I have so many theories about why it's free. Imagine it just the getting togetherness of science and poetry. Just those two. I say poetry because it's a very, very different thing from science, as we think. So in one generation, Rando is 2 years old. I mean, we're asking a lot from a 2-year-old. It's 2. It's just 2 years old. I mean, the science and everything, they've been developing it for, I don't know how many years exactly. I don't have the numbers, but it comes from a lot. But it's as far as I know, it's been on the market for only 2 years. Imagine what it's going to do, like in 1 extra year. Give it 1 extra year. How cool is that going to be? And all of this will be touched upon in future Tangonaut podcasts. If you haven't seen that, we have a Tangonauts channel. Of course, Abraham Lincoln description. We have a Tangonauts channel where we post the Tangonauts podcast. This is just my podcast, my individual, separate, long distance truck driver friendly podcast, with just me enjoying saying stuff and communicating, just getting my ideas out. Sort of like saying them out loud gets them in order. Plus I practice just the speaking, being clear and not slurring my words that much. But Rando is 2. I mean, what can you ask from a 2-year-old? It's basically, it's at an age where it can say, it's 2. See yourself, picture yourself at 2 years old. Would you be able to do anything spectacular? It's like it's taking its first steps, and we are crucial in Randonautica growing. I said it before and I'll say it again. Rando and us, I strongly believe we are complementary. Us going places is important for the development of Randonautica. We go hand in hand. It's a beautiful journey. And for those who want to go Rando and who haven't tried it yet, I'm like, what are you waiting for? Fear not the awkward people of the words, you know? And if you made it so far in this podcast, I think I can say it. Don't worry. Don't worry. Just go. And as I advise to everybody, a lot of people, two people have come to me, and we've been speaking, and they said, "Yeah, I want to go rando, but I'm a bit afraid about it." And one tip that I give them is, if you want to feel safe, and if you want, at least safer, go to a place where you do already feel safe. Like a cool place, anywhere in your town, or if it's your house, or just a friend's house, you can fall asleep around, and you'll wake up and you won't have slurs on written with a Sharpie on your face, uh, stuff, and carrots. If you know what if you don't know what I'm talking about, just follow Dave Chappelle, and you'll understand what I mean about carrots. Just go to a place where you feel safe, a nice place, a nice place, and from there you generate your point. Because if you generate your point from a place where you already feel safe, you will bring that vibe to the place you're going. So you're already on a good start. You'll bring that positivity to a place that's cool, because you'll be thinking about something cool, and Randonautica will pick up on that. And Randonautica does not make mistakes. Just think about it real quick. I won't elaborate on that too much, but how can an application that can give you like something so accurate to what you intended from a distance, like you're at a distance, you think about something, you go to the point it generates for you, and it totally worked. It totally worked. How can an app that can totally do that be wrong sometimes? I believe it can only be one way or the other. Either rando, it doesn't work and it's just chance, or it works 100% of times. 100% of the time it is going to work. And I know we're going to cover that in a future Tango podcast, so I'll just stop on that now. Real quick, I want to cover my Snowflake find, because I rewatched, and it's been haunting me since the first day. Since the first day I posted it, it's been haunting me, because I will tell the story real quick. It was the middle of August. There was virtually no cloud in the sky. It was hot that day, real hot. As the sun was blazing, it felt like it was like at least hot. It was hot. Okay, it was just really hot. I didn't know what to intend for, so I think, okay, so it's really hot. I can intend for a snowflake, because why not? Why not? A snowflake. It's a really hot day. I want to intend a snowflake. I give myself a huge radius. I bike for ages. I'm going to that place. I get there, and I had a find at that point. I won't spoil it for those who desire to see it, but I find something at that point. And how I found that thing is I saw a big stone on the floor. It was a nice and round stone that you usually only find on beaches. You know those beaches where you have stones instead of sand, even though sand is tiny, tiny, tiny stones, but they're so tiny that it makes sand, and we see it differently. That reference is from Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. If you haven't seen it, it's pretty cool. I recommend that movie. The real Doctor Who recommends Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. But I see one of those big stones, and I'm thinking in my mind, yeah, the butterfly effect. If I take that stone and put it at a place where it shouldn't be, because it already shouldn't. Well, I couldn't see the reason why it was there in the first place. I'm thinking, what if I put it at a completely different place? It's going to generate a butterfly effect. And somebody who sees it or picks it up or anything, that's what we do on a daily basis. But if that person picks up that stone and does anything with it, that will have repercussions throughout that person's entire life because of the butterfly effect. And that's what we do every day when you cross the road, when you buy some bread, when you don't buy some bread, where you give something to somebody or somebody gives something to you. Of course, butterfly effect. That's just how it goes. But I see it and I'm saying, oh, if I take this is, and I'm talking with that tone in my voice that makes it a little less credible. I realize that, but I'm thinking, if I pick that up, I put it somewhere and blah, 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 butterfly effect. And just as I rise my head, I see that thing I found on a fence. That thing I still have around my neck. I find it on a fence. And there's this weird moment of, okay. One could think I put it there because of the whole situation, how it goes, how I'm talking at that point. One could easily think I put it there, but I didn't. It was there when I got there. It's just like that. You just have to take my word for it. And it was so it was there, and from there I take it, and my find just boom. It just happens, and then it all fits together, and all of a sudden, my find was there. So a few days ago, or 2 days ago, so well, yeah, that's enough with that. But I wanted to cover another point. It's 2 days ago. I was with a friend and a friend, a new friend. I didn't know the second girl, but I was with that girl you might have seen in my first video called Bérangère. And we were together, and she said, hey, there's this thing in the woods, and it's all about senses and taste and sight and blah blah blah, the 5 senses. I don't have them for the top of my head, but sorry. She says, do you want to come? And I'm thinking, well, yes, because what better answer in life can you get than someone saying yes? Like, don't think about it, just say yes and go. So much good things happen from just a spontaneous, unconditioned yes. Just yes. You just say yes and you go, and you'll see. And something good will come out of it. It just works. It just works. Sorry, I'm getting carried away, but it just works. So you're going there, and you have to walk quite a lot. Oh, and by the way, there was a little stand, and they had just a bit away from that. There was a stand, and they had um 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 deer, or woods, and some skulls and some pictures, and you had to guess what is this. There was little animations and everything. It was pretty cool. And so I say, of course, obviously, I see all those animals, and there were birds, and I say, oh, do you have anything with owl? Because obviously, all randonauts are just obsessed with is the owl. So I'm thinking, okay, do you have anything with owl? And she says, yes, we kind of have, like, I don't know the translation, and I've even forgotten the word in French, but she says we have owl droppings. It's basically like what they'll puke out. I think, if my understanding is right, they puke out what they don't digest. So it's like these little lumps of undigested things that they can dissect, and there'll be some bones and stuff, and so you can see with that, you can see what they've been eating, plus you can figure out what is in their what's around them, the little animals that are around the owl, because you can see, oh, that's a mouse, and that's a mini beaver, and that's a mini deer, and that's a mini moi, and all the things that it's been eating, you can figure out. So, but I digress again, because I just love doing that. After doing a lot of stuff, we've been climbing trees. There was a little boat, and I was on the boat, and I was filming. I was moving the boat, and I could film the ripples, and the ripples going out and then bouncing back, and then confronting new upcoming ripples. And there was this ripple thing, and it was really cool. And people must have been wondering what I was doing, but I was observing energy and how energy gets spread out and comes back, the return effect. A lot of scientific observation, empirical observation of things, when from an outside view it looked like a dork on a boat just going just moving the boat and making ripples. And I hadn't thought about it that way, but yeah, I did seem like a dim when I was just moving the boat, and from an outside view it seemed like, yeah, somebody well, I'm sure they were thinking, well, once he gets off the boat, maybe we'll offer him a biscuit. That will make him well happy. Time goes on, and at some point we're sitting in a thing in between trees, and it was really cool. And there were just kids coming out and playing. We were just relaxing in that thing, and kids come and be kids, and they were just playing around. And I'm drawing something, and I'm drawing, and the kids were there, and they were nice. And I say, hey, kids, hey, what should I draw? I want to draw an animal. What animal can I draw? And one of the kids, he stood out. He really stood out, because he had that, I don't know. First of all, he had long blonde hair. He was 9. He had long blonde hair, and these, some people have blue eyes, and you just, wow, those are, it gives something. There's always something a bit angelic with blue eyes, and he had some. It's kind of not a hat, but it's like a bonnet, but um, a bonnet that you can pull your hair through from the top. So it's sort of like a headpiece. I don't know how to describe it, but like a mini, or the mix between a scarf and a hula hoop, but for your head and made of cloth, elastic cloth, and thick. So he had his hair coming out of that thing, those two piercing blue eyes, and it he was not any other kid in that thing. So we're just joking around, and he's like, "Oh yeah, how you enjoy this?" And I'm like, "That's cool." So I'm just focused on my drawing, and he spoke, and we just talk a bit for we talked for a bit, and it was cool. The parents were there, everything was safe for the kids, and there was no problem, you know. So the the whole the whole general area was in a good mood place. It was really in a good mood, so that was really nice. So we talked, and we ended up like drawing, and he was drawing stuff. I drew. He suggested I draw a dragon, so I'm drawing the dragon, and I make it like I give him a big tummy, and I'm trying to remember that drawing exactly. Yeah, he's just sitting in the lotus position, and he just had a big tummy, and he was like just chilling, you know. And he says, "Yeah, oh yeah, I want to draw eggs with squids on them." I'm thinking, that kid is intelligent. That kid is something else. There was something else about that kid, and there was something I recognized in him, in his mind. We had something in common, and I was thinking, you have such a cool future ahead of you, because that is a special kid, you know. And I was thinking, this kid is fascinating. This kid is bright. Something different about him. Something angelic almost. So as we're drawing, he does those drawings, and he says, "Oh yeah, I want to draw." He drew the eggs and squids on them, and then he thought, "I want to draw a pan, but in, you know, as characters in comic books, they have that bubbles, and it makes a big bubble, and then you see what they're thinking, or you see a drawing of what they're thinking in the bubble thing." He said, "I want to draw a pan because he's thinking about eating those eggs." Then he asked me for some advice, and I explained it, and he understood everything that I was saying. It was just crazy. It was really crazy, because I was thinking, dude, that kid, by the time he grows up, Randonautica will be something that exists for a long time before he has a smartphone and he comes to go rando, because he obviously will. And there's like 99% of chances that I will never encounter that person again. And that's fine, because it was the best interaction possible. And by the time that he gets to go rando will be so much in advance, and as he is so much in advance in his head, he has that sensitivity. I don't know if you know about indigo kids or star children or whatever you want to call them, but those who just like, okay, you're not the same as the rest. And it so much showed that it wasn't the same as the rest because there was one kid there, the little, how could we describe that? I'm trying to find words that are non-denominative and non-discriminal, and just to describe that other child. It was like as Carl Pilkington once said on the Ricky Gervais show, it's like, well, I might get confused in the exact quote, but it felt like that kid would want to run after cars, bite the bumper of the car, and just get dragged along the road like he wouldn't. He was like so agitated, and so like it's like he was fed crack coffee and Red Bull for breakfast, and it's like oh no, please, you wanted to tell that kid, could you please pick any direction and start walking for 3 hours without looking back. Please, just, can you do that for me, kid? Can you just physically distance yourself from any other human being? Please go away, child. Please leave. You are making a lot of noise. We are in a very peaceful environment, and I do not have the will or the strength or the energy to try and canalize whatever is going on in that seemingly nuclear powered tiny body of yours. I don't know what's wrong with you, but please, not now, kid, not now. I have nothing against you, but come on. Can you feel the frustration in my voice right now? Just living through that moment again. Living through that moment with that thing. And I'm there, and that man, and he was saying some stuff that didn't make sense. And you tried to say, oh, hey, but he would already have cut your, interrupted you and moved on. Once he left, I was left, and then back to the drawing part. I just realized, okay, the blonde kid that we later nicknamed Titan, because not only did he have that unique little angle to him, and you could feel that intelligence, well, he also had a unique name. It started with T, and I wouldn't say his name, and I wouldn't even if I managed to remember it, because I can't remember the name he had. It was like, it started with T, but for the rest, it just I can't remember it. So we nicknamed him Titan, and the girl I was with knew the parents of that kid, and she knew that kid very well, in fact, because they hanged out and they were friends of the family, and so they got to spend a lot of time all together. It's sort of like a group of people who know each other, and I bless them all for welcoming me into that day. It was a very, very special day, and marked by the encounter of that little angel, And so later on in the car, we're talking, and she said, "Yeah, I saw you. speak to little Titan, as we call him, and she said he doesn't do that. It's not something he does. He doesn't connect with people like that, but he seemed to recognize himself in you, and I know him, and I know he doesn't do that. And I'm saying, oh, he doesn't. Well, he seemed very, open-minded in his view of like how geometry and just spatial, just see what goes first. When you're visualizing something, perspective, visualization in perspective through what he was doing in the drawing and the way he was thinking about things. And when I explained, he wanted me to draw the dragon in a sort of like the entrance of the dragon's lair. So sort of like there's an entrance in I forgot the word. There's an entrance in a mountain, and it goes like a few hundred meters in, and that would be the dragon's lair. I don't have the word for it. I'm sorry. And I explained to him, I can draw that, but the dragon is drawn so big on the paper that if I try, people won't be able to identify what it is, and it will be a little bit confusing for the eye to recognize that he is in at the entrance of his lair. And he understood me. And he's 9. Like, any of you are adults, so I'm sure you understood what I was talking about right now. It's a big piece of paper, and even if it's a big piece of paper, I drew the dragon real big on it. So there's no way anybody could. There's no way I could do something identifiable, and that's an easy thing to understand. But when you're a kid, a real young kid, and you understood that, it was really cool. So back to the car. We're in the car, and she's talking, and she's talking about how the kid is, how he sees life, how a lot of those things. Then he says, yeah, that kid has been actually tested. He's like a proper. Well, he would be in IQ terms considered a proper genius, like a real genius. Like I won't say the exact number, but he's over 135. So that's high potential. But yeah, that was a really, really interesting moment, because seeing how bright he was sort of gives hope for the future, because more and more that generation of that were, well, they're millennials obviously, but more and more they progress, and they're going to be, and they're going to stumble upon Rando at some point, and Rando is going to grow too. So I just can't wait to see the results of their finds multiplied by Rando's growth. If you get genius intuitive, a generation of genius intuitive, sensitive, and intelligent people, and with Rando, that is only 2. I'll say it again. Rando is only 2. It's a baby. We're baby nodding for the moment. So the combination between those 2 elements, add just 5 years. 5 years from now, Rando will have grown. Those kids will have grown. They'll be young adults, and they will have their version of Rando. That's going to be such we are going, I'll say it now, we're going towards very, very interesting times. Very interesting times. And once again, it just keeps me awake at night that Randonautica is free. You can use it, and it's also free because you can walk. We're living in times where everything costs money. Everything costs money. If you want to do anything, if you want to marvel yourself, you go to the movies, money. If you want to eat something good, well, that's money. Well, anything you eat basically would be, but that's money. You want to watch movies, you want to go to Netflix, to this, to that. It's always money. When you go rando, you are in the movie. You are actually in the rando movie. You're with rando, you're going out, you see something, and suddenly, wow, you're in another universe because magic seemingly just happened. And you didn't spend a penny. Unless if you need to, obviously, put gas in the car. And I bike, Vicky and I, we bike. So, obviously, you need to change the tires because they get worn out. And when I go rando blading, I also need to change the wheels and the bearings and wash my socks. Just stuff like that. There's always money involved, of course, but it's healthy because you go doing sport. It's food for thought because you get your mind box and your brain box bubbling. Just it's going on and on and on, and you're thinking about a million and million stuff, and all the things go together, and the more you know, the better you rando. Even though there's no like anybody does it better than anybody else. That makes me think about a sentence. I can't remember who said it, but it goes something amongst the lines. Nobody does it better than the other ones, but some people can do it worse. And I said it before, and I'll say it again. And Vicky does agree with that. Randonautica does not make mistakes. It cannot not work. Never. It either is total coincidence, and sometimes, luckily, you'll stumble upon something resembling, but I strongly believe, and we believe, that it works 100% of the time. I want to encourage everybody to check out the follow-up video to the 30-point day that I did, because I haven't touched upon that. I might have I think I did in the last podcast, but I just want to say this again. And this podcast is a lot clearer, I know, because I can speak out loud. It's not like 3 a.m, so I'm still awake and everything, doing some editing, waiting for Pop Astro tonight. And what I wanted to say is that, yes, in my video, the follow-up, Randonautica most accurate find ever. It's titled something like that. I found exactly what I intended for 3 months after intending for it. in the same street, on the same spot. It was my point. It was my point. And it was there. That thing was there, with which presses me to believe it's giving me personally some proof that Randonautica does not make mistakes. It knows where to send you. So, as Josh said, it's really worth revisiting your points, especially what we see as duds, as times it didn't work. Because I remember saying in my video, maybe you go somewhere and it just isn't there yet. And maybe it just isn't there yet. So it's worth checking out, or making that place, that spot, part of a travel you'll do. Like if you like jogging, maybe jog to that area and just look around while you're jogging to see if that thing you intended for has arrived. Like your package has arrived. Maybe. So on that, I will not procrastinate anymore. And thanks for listening. If you're still here, we have the Tangonauts channel available. I encourage you to check that out if you so desire to. I mean, it's worth it. If you're still here at this point, I strongly encourage you check out the Tangonauts channel, because there are more things to come. There's editing that's coming. There's another podcast that is due. We will continue doing podcasts with the love, and there's every day we're working on little stuff, and there's always something in the works. There's always something in the works, Tango wise and All in I wise. Vicky Dad has her stuff too. She's a busy woman, so she has a lot of stuff, and she really takes care of a lot of the stuff that, like the behind the scenes. So we have different roles in that organization, equal roles, and so yeah, a lot of good stuff coming up. So I thank you all for listening. I hope you had a good time. I hope this podcast has brought something to you. And if this format, if you enjoyed this format, I would really appreciate if you let me know. And yeah, I'll just finish with that sentence everybody seems to love that much. That is, and Rand only knows where all of this will go. See you guys. How'd you turn that off? Oh.